Hey folks, welcome to another episode here at the channel. Welcome to Gideon's Tactical. I'm your host, Aaron. And today we got a multi-tool. It's been a little while since we've cranked one of these out and tested out a multi-tool. And I'll be honest, right from the get-go is because I love the Leatherman rebar. And for all of my usage, the Leatherman rebar really hits a sweet spot for me. Now today, we're not looking at the Leatherman rebar. I may run it in here throughout the video just to kind of show you a little bit of comparison, but we're looking at the Leatherman OHT. Now the thing with the Leatherman OHT is that it's designed to be a one-hand operation tool. In other words, you can open up every single tool on this multi-tool with one hand. You don't have to open it up with two hands and then get in, and you have to use two hands to get to any tool. Every single tool is able to be engaged one-handed. That's all you have to do, regardless if, again, it's like a blade. Oh, I need my knife, and then you need to close it up, close it one-handed. You need to get to the main pliers, you flick it out. That is what the idea of the OHT is. So today we're going to go ahead and look at the ins and outs of it, show it to you in action, show you the tools it has to offer, and then at the end of the video I'm going to give you my overall thoughts and whether or not I think this is a good multi-tool to purchase and who for, and what you're going to be using this multi-tool, whether or not it's going to be the right one for you, or if something else either from Leatherman or some of the other companies might be a little better option for you. You'll have to watch this video to find out. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start using the OHT and see how it performs. All right, so we're going to look at a few specs here on this multi-tool before we get into looking at all the tools. Now you're going to get 16 different tools on the OHT, so we're going to look at all of them today. Now, when we're looking at this closed up, we're looking at 4.5 inches long by 1.5 inches wide at its widest point, and about 0.75 or 3/4 of an inch thick at its thickest point. So those are a few of the dimensional sizes for you. It's going to weigh in at 9.9 ounces. That is a beefy, heavy multi-tool. And the other thing to note as well, USA made, which is great. And then all of the blades that we're looking at here today, if I pull out a blade, it's going to be 2.37 on the inches, 2.37 inches long, no matter which one I'm looking at. And it's 420 high carbon. So those are just a few of the basic specs for you on the multi-tool. Now let's continue and keep going with using this Leatherman OHT. All right, let's go ahead and look at the plain edge blade. As you can see, again, obviously, one-handed deployment. Nice liner lock right there, locks in real nice. And you're getting that just over 2.5 inch blade length, or excuse me, just under 2.5 inches of blade length on this knife. And it's got a hollow grind. It's got that black, color on it to help against rust. It is a 420 high carbon, as well as all these other tools on here, which is a budget steel. It's an okay steel, but it's a budget steel. And this particular blade shape is razor sharp. It's going to hold a very good edge for what it is, being 420. Leatherman does a pretty good job with their heat treat. You will have to touch it up pretty frequently, but it is very easy to touch up. And I did a lot of work with this, guys, regardless if it was going through seat belt, nylon rope, cardboard, as well as feather sticking. If you were carrying this on you, out in the wilderness, and you need to make some shavings for a fire to get a fire going or something like that, and it will definitely do the job. I mean, it definitely goes through that stuff very nice, very quick. I like that reverse Tanto design tip. That's very precise, and it'll get the job done for sure for all of the basic tasks that you would need. The thing to note is because of how wide it is, I mean, it's a brick in your hand, and I wear large size gloves. It's a brick, so it's not going to be very comfortable for very long, particularly with wood cutting or extended, like cardboard box cutting or things like that. It'll get the job done, but it is really boxy and really big, which will stress out your hand over the long haul the longer you use it. All right, so on the opposite side, this is where the blade was, there is a wood saw. Now, Leatherman does a great job with their wood saws. You can see they're really good teeth. Now, the issue I have is because of how small these blades are at like 2.3, I believe, on the inches, 2.3 inches, you're just not really going to span much of anything with this OHT, and that really is noticeable with the saw. My rebar Leatherman has a longer blade, and I can get a little bit more reach. I can do thicker branches. This one, it's very difficult to really get any sort of sawing motion. I mean, you're basically going to be going through stuff like as thick as your thumb. I mean, that's about it. You know, you could do some wood notching with it and do some notches for traps and, you know, things like that, but that's about it. It just doesn't really excel at any sort of branch cutting at all. You know, a branch as thick as my thumb, I'll be able to break off with my hand basically. So it doesn't really, you know, benefit the use of limb clearing because of how short and small this saw is, even though the teeth are really designed well and do saw well if the branch is small enough. On the other end here, we have the safety cutter, and this thing, I really wasn't expecting a lot out of it, but I gotta tell you, I was actually really impressed. It's very easy for you to hook onto a seat belt or paracord, and it just zipped right through both of those materials. I was very, very pleased, very impressed. So if you are either in the military or like an EMT or law enforcement, and you are having to remove people or yourself possibly out of a vehicle, this will absolutely go through that seatbelt or other, you know, webbing and materials super quick and very nicely designed. And just how the angle is, it'll just zip right through that type of material. And opposite the safety cutter is the serrated blade, and it is nice to have that, particularly if you are going to be doing lots of nylon cutting and you don't want to use the safety cutter and you want an actual blade. These teeth are designed just really well to really get a good, you know, connection with the material and go through a lot of stuff. I mean, we just went through lots and lots of different material, and it performed very well going through all the different, you know, items that we put up against the serrated blade. So it is nice that they give you that serrated option with that kind of dulled out tip again, so that you can, you know, do cuts without worrying about, you know, stabbing and penetrating different material that could possibly get damaged, or, you know, people or whatever it is that you might be using this serrated blade up against. It's nice to kind of have that rounded off edge so you're not going to accidentally hurt yourself or someone else. Okay, so one of the big positives and one of the biggest things about this multi-tool is that you can deploy the pliers one-handed, and that's the issue with all other Leathermans to this point, is that you have to open them up and kick them around. You got to use two hands to get to the pliers. That's not the case on the OHT. With a simple flick, you can see there, you definitely have to do it. You have to make sure that you're flicking it good. It will easily extend. They're spring-loaded, so they got some really good action there to them. Then one-handed, all you have to do is, see that little gray button there and that little gray button there, you just kind of squeeze them simultaneously, keeping the multi-tool kind of cupped in your hand, and you can easily draw down the pliers. Then again, you just kick it out like that and you're good to go. There is a safety feature as well, or not a safety feature, but just kind of a redundancy feature on this side right here, this little toggle. If you twist it like that, I hope you can see that right there. Now that's perpendicular to the rest of the setup. Now, no matter what I do, it will not flick out. Then if I remove this and twist it back to being parallel with the multi-tool, now again, it flicks out real nice and quick, and you're good to go. So that is a really nice feature. It's very smooth and very easy to operate. Once you kind of get the hang of it, it takes a little bit of breaking in, a little bit of getting the hang of it. You got to kind of get that wrist flick in there, but as long as you do that, bam, it's going to open one-handed, and then you can put it away one-handed as well. All right, so now that you've seen the flicking motion, I want to actually show you the pliers here. You got a really nice needle nose kind of setup, particularly right here at the end. You can see they really connect well, and there's actually a little space there so that you can definitely get those really nice fine, you know, things that you might need to grab and pinch onto. Very nice, and is going to, you know, enter into tight areas rather well. You got all these teeth right along here. You got that real nice teeth right in the middle, and then you have that replaceable wire cutters that are 154 cm, and you can easily, if you ever were to damage those by cutting something a little too aggressive, or, you know, just over time and, you know, wear, you can easily replace those teeth, and those teeth are rather inexpensive, you know, and you don't have to drop an arm and a leg to replace the whole setup. And these can definitely cut through a lot, guys. I went through 12 gauge wire. I went through a lot of just different materials with these and used these on a lot of different, you know, items, and works really well. They are spring loaded, and just kind of show you how it operates right in here. Here's the spring loaded system right there, and these slide again on that little track, and then they go away, and that locks the multi-tool, and it will not open. And then when you flick it, then it allows you to open the multi-tool. So those are the needle nose or the pliers portion of the OHT. All right, so I want to walk you through the screwdrivers here, just kind of show you what they have to offer. I'm going to kick them all out together here real quick. just to show you what the features are. So we'll start here on this side first. You got a wider flathead that's going to be a little bit thicker, a little bit wider. That's going to obviously hit those bigger flathead screwdrivers or screws that you may need to do, as well as you could use for minor prying, like popping off a paint can lid or something like that, because it is thicker and a little bit more durable. Then we rotate over here to the other side. We have this much smaller, finer, thinner one that's going to be able to do the smaller flatheads, or depending on it, the hex heads that maybe don't quite fit the hex head one. And then you got the hex head right here. So all pretty straightforward stuff, you know, not a whole lot. They're screwdrivers. They work, they do what they need to do, and they are easily able to be deployed. And then they have their nice liner lock system there, so they're not going to, you know, collapse on you if you're pushing hard, you know, screwing into wood maybe or something like that. Then you easily just push down, disengage, and you close it up. Again, you can do this all one-handed if you need to. So another feature, you got a can opener here. It's always nice to have that. You never know when you might need that, particularly on a job site, you know, and you're maybe got a can of fruit, can of tuna, something like that, and you forgot, you know, your can opener or whatever. This will just make it really nice and easy. Functions great, definitely gets the job done. And again, as always, one-handed deployable as well as one-handed collapsible. So that's the can opener on the OHT. All right, let's look at the sheath here on the OHT. And what we have is a nylon sheath, MOLLE compatible. Again, this is kind of geared more to law enforcement, military, not that those people are the only people this is designed for, but it kind of has that philosophy and thought in mind. So you're getting a really good durable nylon, heavy duty. You get a nice big strip of Velcro that flips over to keep the Leatherman tool in place. You got a drainage hole right there so it doesn't rust on you. Then on the back side, you have 2 stages of MOLLE with a nice button strap, so you can lace it either through your belt or through MOLLE webbing on packs or gear. And then you got just a really nice dump pouch with what feels probably like a synthetic leather right there on the mouth to kind of give it a little bit of rigidness, so it doesn't want to collapse on you, so that you can then slide it back into place and close it. So that is the only carry option you get with this. It would be nice to offer, even though it's a pretty big, bulky Leatherman tool. I know some people love pocket clips and rocking their Leathermans with pocket clips. It would be nice to at least offer that as an option that you can bolt on. To my knowledge, Leatherman doesn't. If they do, I'll connotate it in right now. But to everything that I've checked out, they don't offer a a pocket clip for this model. So maybe in the future, if they come out with something that those who want to do that would be a fantastic little feature. Right now, you're either just going to throw it in your pocket or use this sheath to carry the OHT. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up this review and give you my final thoughts here on the OHT. Now, I'm going to talk about the positives first. The positive is that as this was designed as a one-handed multi-tool, it absolutely accomplishes that task perfectly. Very easy for you to deploy the teeth and the pliers. It's easy for you to get to all the other things. You can put it away. You can get to your screwdrivers. You can get to your blades, open them up, use them, put them away all one-handed. So I would say that if you are somebody who uses your multi-tool constantly, you're constantly busting in and out with your job or whatever you do, that you constantly need to get into your multi-tool and you're tired of having to open it up every time and use 2 hands, then this I think is going to be a great feature for you. Or you're just on like a lot of ladders, scaffolding, you're using one hand to hold stuff and do things, then this is definitely, as that one-handed feature, definitely accomplishes that and is very ergonomic in that sense of helping you be able to reach every tool with one hand. That's a big positive. Now, for me personally, the drawbacks are this. First off is that it's huge. This is a huge freaking multi-tool. It weighs 10 ounces basically. With the sheath, it's going to weigh 10 ounces. It's big, it's bulky, and doesn't really offer any other tools or any other things that any of my other multi-tools that I have from Leatherman offer me, like my rebar and some of those other ones. They have all the same tools. Yes, I have to use 2 hands, but they're going to be a little thinner. They're going to be a little more compact and be like 3 or 4 ounces lighter. So when I'm talking about for my personal EDC carrying around town or putting in my survival kits, this is going to take up a lot of real estate and a lot of weight. I'm going to know I'm carrying this thing, and I don't like that. I would prefer it to be a lot lighter and a little bit more compact. So that's a big downside to me. The other thing, guys, is the price point. $80 for this thing? I mean, come on. I could totally understand that if it was like 154 CM blades, the saw and the knife and those type of things, and they're using like a higher quality steel. But for 420 high carbon, and we're talking $80, I mean, that's like $30 more than the rebar and $30 more than several of the other multi-tools out there. And I think it's just, it's asking a lot. It's a lot of money for what this multi-tool is. If this was more around $60, I think it'd be a little bit more feasible and a little bit more, you know, easily accessible to the public. But at $80, I don't know if it's justifiable for that those one-handed features. So ultimately, guys, I hope that this review has helped you out with your purchasing decisions. For me personally, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 on my likability. It's just, I'm going to stick with my rebar. It doesn't offer anything for me that really makes it, you know, worth the money and worth the weight in comparison to the other Leathermans that I own. So hopefully, again, this has helped you out with all your purchasing decisions. As always, check us out on all the relevant social media. Please subscribe, comment, like, share this video. And as always, remember to stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.